Good afternoon, class. Very happy you could all be here. You're looking real good. I might be a little bit rough around the edges. We had the faculty end of the month party last night, and it was a hosted bar. And for my fellow faculty members that embarrassed themselves, sorry. No one put a gun to your head and made you guzzle that vodka straight out of the bottle. Hey, today's topic is going to be how do you price a property and get it right, so everybody ends up happy. You end up with a happy customer. They end up moving down the road with the amount of money they thought they were going to get. So what we've done is, I've got a house here. We'll call it 6713 Sugar Maple Way. It's a friend of mine who wants to sell his house and wants to know what it's worth. Well, the easiest way, in my opinion, the simplest way to go about at least bracketing in a good purchase price is to look what's available in the neighborhood and what's been sold in the neighborhood. So we use our MetroList tools all the time, and in this case, I do what's called a radius search. Sometimes it goes as small as a quarter mile, but generally a half a mile should do it. You don't want to get into a completely different neighborhood where they may bigger, better houses, or they might be, ghetto, who knows. Anyway, so what you want to do is do about a half a mile and see what's been selling in there and what's it been selling for. And now we're going to forget about two-story, one-story. We're going to forget about amenities and all that stuff. We're going to break this stuff down to the price per square foot. So we found that our competitive market analysis here within a quarter mile shows that there have been several that sold, and we always get it close. So the sold date we want to use, in this case I use May 1st. That's the date that MetroList enters it as a sold house. It could have been, actually the deal could have been done months before, but it took a while for financing. So in this case, May 1st, and it looks like there's 2, 4, 6, 8, there's 10 of them that have been sold in the neighborhood. Again, half-mile radius, and they closed since May the 1st. And we're looking here, and we're looking at, well, the average on these was $150 a square foot, which is pretty reasonable for that area. That's the solds. And some of these were on the market for a long time. I'm looking at one here that was on the market for 100 days, 300 days. When you see situations like that, obviously it tells you there's some things going on there, and these people were getting to the point where they were desperate to sell. However, there's another one area that you also want to search, very important, available houses. Now, available houses are going to be your competitors. So when somebody wants to buy in that nice neighborhood, and it is a very nice neighborhood, they're going to see what's out there for sale. In this case, I knew the price was going to be $300,000 and less. So we put a search parameter of $0 up to $300,000. And what's available is 3 houses. So that's good news. That means that our subject might have a pretty quick shelf life, pretty short shelf life. And these guys are on the market for $185 a square foot. Wow, quite a difference. $150 for the solds, $185 for the available. So what we're saying here is the market has not only gone up, but the lack of inventory over there is probably driving prices up a bit. So you go to your guy and say, well, your house is 1,540 square feet. So you go 1,540 times 185, and you come to 284.9. So if he was bracketed right in with these other ones, he'd have the house on the market for 284.9. Next question, how long does he want to wait to sell the house? In this case, it's an investment property. They've gone in and they've done some fix-ups and some painting, and it's clean and it's standing pretty tall. But they don't want to sit around and wait on this house. So we go down and say, well, what's the cheapest one out there we'll have to compete with? Well, gosh, $163 a square foot. And so if we want, 1,540 times 163, we're down to 251, which I know is unacceptable. So let's go right in between somewhere and say, well, let's put this house on the market for about 270, between 270 and 275. That puts us in the fat part of the market, and the most important part is coming up. You walk through the house, and you see it may have some shortcomings. It may look crummy in some areas and whatnot. Excuse the hand. However, you want to make sure your client understands what's going to be expected of him as a seller. So the best way to do that is to take him on a little tour of the competitors. You just call up, make an appointment. You walk in like he's your client, and he can look around. He can say, geez, my carpets are nicer than that, or gosh, this is really nice. It's quite a bit nicer than mine. So he gets a feel for what he's going to be up against, and he's going to be receptive, depending on what these homes look like. He's going to be more receptive to entering a very competitive price when he puts it on the market. I had somebody send me an email. They asked, do you do any staging of homes? Well, no. I had 3 new home builders we represented up until a very short time ago, and they were higher end homes from the $700 to $1 million category. Gorgeous homes, and these fellows stage the homes. And by staging, you have a professional company come in and put furniture in it. They put wall furnishings, they put furniture, they put findings. It looks like a model home you would find at a subdivision tract office. And that costs a lot of money. So where I've always said agents have to spend their money on the property, that goes up above and beyond. Spending $2,000 or $3,000 is above and beyond. On a resale, many agents get tied up and hung up with the condition of the subject. I've known agents that have said, well, you're going to have to tear out the kitchen and redo it. Well, that goes counter to my intuition. We want to sell the house that's there, the bones and the sticks, the rocks and everything else that make that house, and we don't want to remodel it, and we don't want to rebuild it pointy side down. We don't do any of that stuff, but we do want to make it look good. So rather than tell your customer, hey, your house looks like crap, sometimes a gentler approach is needed, and touring these other houses sometimes gives them a tip as to what their home should be looking like. Sometimes, you can make suggestions. Well, this family room looks a little crowded with these 2 giant sofas. Is there somewhere you could put one of the sofas? You can make kind suggestions like that. And, of course, you always want to impress them. The house has to be available at all times, and it has to be spick and span, and what we call in the business has to be standing tall. So when you get that buyer that rolls in from Omaha, Nebraska, they want to look at the house on the spur of the moment. It's got to be looking good, ready to be seen, and be very welcoming to that client when they're shown through the house. So no, I don't recommend doing any vast rebuilding. About as far as I'll go is I'll suggest maybe the carpets could use cleaning. If there's pets, you always want to make sure that the pets are outside when the house is being shown. I don't know if they go in the garage. It depends on the pet. In our case, we've got a bunch of dachshunds, so we'd have to toss them in the garage for half an hour. Other people have snapping, growling pit bulls, I don't know what you would do with those kind of dogs. But you definitely don't need pets there, and you do not want your homeowner there when the home is being shown. We talked about this in an earlier class. You don't want your homeowner following the people through, pointing out all the cool stuff and talking about how wonderful the neighbors are and all that kind of stuff. If you can, the showing has to be with the homeowner not there. You take the client through, or the cooperating agent takes his clients through, lets them talk it over. A lot of people would be reluctant to make nasty comments if the homeowner was looking over their shoulder. So it's nicer and better if there's no one home. Sometimes that's not feasible, I understand. But you try to explain to them, don't try to sell the home to these guys. They just want to look around, and the home will do all the work for you. So as far as setting the price, we've already set that. Do the square footage method, find out what's been selling and what's available. And keep in mind that if these people get financing when they buy your house, it's going to have an appraisal, and the appraisers go by these numbers too. They'll make an adjustment if this comparable over here needed a new roof, or this one over here, God knows what could have been wrong with it. Or this one was really, really nice, and so on and so forth. They're able to make adjustments in there. But you've got to be kind of right on the money as far as getting it sold. I always look at the per square foot price first, and you just go down the list of it. I've got a young lady that wants to live in a particular area, and I can pull up a bunch of homes in her price range, and you go right down this list, you pull them all up, and you'll see the price per square foot is pretty close, within 10, 15, 20 bucks. You go down, then all of a sudden you see one that's $50 overpriced. or $65 overpriced. You just scratch that off right away. It doesn't work like that. That's the only common denominator these houses have. And as I said once before, sometimes if you're in a tract, you'll luck out and you'll find exactly the same comp that's sold within a reasonable period of time that you can use as far as pricing the house. But remember, even if you get a sucker that comes along that pays way over market, if he gets financing, the appraiser is going to bring him right back down to earth, and it's going to make everybody very unhappy. I want to congratulate the people that completed their probation last week. I think I signed all your certificates, so you guys are free to go anytime you want, except I need to have you alcohol tested before you leave. The sheriff is making me do that nowadays, and you look a little tipsy to me over there, so no offense, but that's just how it goes. And thanks a lot. Appreciate it very much. And we'll be back on the air with some other tips and hints and funny stories and all that kind of stuff just as soon as I come up with a few. Thanks for watching.